Someone called Peter C. Newman the political psychotherapist of a nation. And you've been pointing your wand at the liberals this time. You started actually this book, When the Gods Changed, focusing on Michael Ignatieff. Why?
Well, because most people, including me and possibly you, thought he would be the next prime minister. You know, he certainly had the qualifications. He was charismatic, or as charismatic as professors can get, and there was nobody else. Well, what happened was that the intersection between intellectuals who spend their lives seeking power and sorry, got it wrong. The intellectuals who spend their lives seeking truth couldn't become a politician who spend their lives seeking power. And that was an incompatible kind of situation, and it showed.
Why were the liberals mesmerized by the wrong leader a second time? Because Stéphane Dion didn't seem to be the right leader. So what was going on in the back rooms?
Well, it just proves my thesis. They had no leader, so they went in desperation for Dion, and then more desperation for Ignatieff. They were both intelligent, interesting men, but they were no leaders, not political leaders. And now they're in the same boat. They still have no leader.
But as you suggest, Ignatieff became kind of a born-again outsider, but he was a Canadian, but the liberals, not necessarily the liberals, it was more the conservatives who hit him with major attack ads.
More than 2,000 attack ads, and the liberals never answered. And one of the things I reveal in my book is why. They actually had $23 million in their treasury, but they couldn't get at it. And they couldn't get at it because the Liberal Party had become a bureaucracy, and they had hired all kinds of consultants. They had 10 regional offices, they had commissions, they had all kinds of stuff that spent the budget, but nothing to do with getting elected.
Well, where was the crusty old boys network in all of that? Because as you know, they got many people elected. The liberals were the political gods. So yes, they brought in consultants and people like that, but why didn't they attack the attack ads sooner?
Well, they claimed they didn't have the money, and in fact they didn't, as I explained. It was wasted. But more important, let me state the three reasons why they're dead or dying.
Okay.
The first is the obvious one, the results, the trend. You know, under Paul Martin's first election, Liberals got 135 seats. Second election, when Martin quit, 107 seats. Dion comes in, he gets 77 seats. Ignatieff, 34 seats. So you see, 4 times out, each time they lose around 30 seats, except the last time when they lost 43. But you can't keep that going. When you have 35 seats, the next election in 2015, if they lose 30 seats, you know, they'll just have enough for a game of bridge, for four of them. And so that's the first reason, and that has a kind of a speeding up effect. If it's gone on for 4 years, election is likely to go on for one more. Secondly, they won't have any money. Mr. Harper's, one of his first actions when he got his majority was to put in that law that cuts federal subsidies from political parties, which is the way the Liberals were financing themselves. Not the Conservatives. The Conservatives adopted the Reform Party's tithing, you know, when people give 10% of their income to the political party. And of course, the NDP always has the union treasuries to draw on, but the Liberals had nothing and have nothing. So that's the second reason. And finally, a political party must have a place that it can be safe in, you know, a part of the country that they control. Well, the Liberals have nothing.
Like Quebec?
Used to have Quebec, they used to have the Maritimes, they used to have Toronto, they used to have rural Ontario, all gone.
So what happened inside with the rivalries we all watched, the Trudeau-Turner, the Chrétien-Martin.
Well, you know, the Conservative Party used to be defined by the fact that they always went after their leaders and defeated their own leaders. And there were 30 leaders of the Conservative Party in Canadian history.
Like a Kim Campbell. Or
Yeah.
yes,
I
good example.
Good example. And I described Campbell as having an unerring instinct for her own jugular. True. Well, now it's the Liberals that are fighting. You know, that Chrétien-Martin fight was a death spiral because it was Liberal against Liberal. And also revealed in my book that Chrétien actually volunteered to stay in power for another 3 or 4 months and take the blame for the big scandal, the big Quebec sponsorship scandal. And the people around Martin were so impatient to get into power that they turned that offer down. It was a good offer, and they took the blame. And
okay. And there was a time at the convention, I believe, when Ignatieff was there, when he was going to throw his support to Bob Rae, and that didn't happen, and Dion came to the fore.
Yeah. Well, actually, Ignatieff, sensing that Dion would be a disaster, offered to support Rae for the leadership, just to prevent to prevent Dion. And I had a wonderful conversation with Dion, who was very bad in a one-on-one in English. And during the election, I went to see Dion. I said, you know, Stefan, you could win every vote in this country. And he got very confused, and he said, what you talk about? What's all that? And I said, well, you just change your name. You changed my name? Yeah. Your first name to Celine.
It'll work. Yes, because name recognition means a lot, doesn't it? But as you look at traditionally in the Liberal Party, and I think it's happened every other time, it's English, it's French, it's English, it's French. It may not be the best person for the job, but they switch and switch.
Yeah. No, that's one of their strengths. And so the next leader has to be French, and and they don't have anybody, French or English.
Okay. What about Bob Rae, interim leader? He said no, perhaps, but probably no.
Well, I think he's saying yes, although his mouth says no. But
Right. Not yet. Not saying anything yet.
If he became leader, the attack ads that Ignatieff had to survive would look like Walt Disney cartoons,
Okay.
because they have the goods. They've already collected them on Rae's government, which almost bankrupted Ontario. And when they marched that
they
out,
pull out all the forces.
and
but
the difference is that the Rae attack ads are actually true as opposed to the Ignatieff.
But wouldn't the Liberals put together a fairly fierce force to fight attack ads this time? I mean, they were lambs last time, as you know, but wouldn't they somehow figure it out, find the money to go after an attack ad?
Well, it's difficult, you know, because people say, well, I contribute to political parties as a kind of patriotic act, but it's not really true. They want something back, and a third party has no patronage, no leverage, nothing they can give back, no appointment privileges.